Good morning. Good morning. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, I needed that. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. I think I might keep this intro music, you know. It could be a permanent fixture. Does a great job of getting me in the mood. But good morning to everyone here on the usual show. But also, good morning to everyone on Instagram. I managed to screw up things over on Instagram yesterday, so we didn't go live over there. I'm hoping to put that right today. But good morning to you, one and all. Now, before I go any further, I need to say a very, very, very big thank you to one of our show regulars, Mr. Dan Cullen. For reasons best known to himself, Dan seemed to believe that he owed me a Christmas present. He didn't, but it is a lovely thought. Anyway, my belated Christmas present has now arrived, and I am both humbled and nostalgic. Dan got me, that's it, screw up the camera. Dan got me, there you are, he got me a West Ham diary. As you all know, I'm a West Ham fan, so that's gone down very well. He's got me a West Ham desk calendar. Hat-trick heroes. We don't have too many of those, but that's fantastic. But the one that really got me was this. That is a West Ham annual for 2024. I can tell you, I used to get a West Ham annual every year when I was a kid, but I haven't actually had one since I was about 14 years old. So honestly, cannot begin to tell you how delighted I am with that. I'm not going to count it among the 50 books I'm attempting to read this year. And incidentally, I'm already at 7.5 books. One of them, All the Light We Cannot See, is taking some ploughing through, but we're getting there slowly but surely. But thank you very much indeed, Dan. It really is much appreciated. Wasn't necessary, but that kind of makes it better somehow. And I'm going to say a very quick good morning. I know somebody's just said, I'm not going to try and pronounce their name, but over on Instagram, they're saying, hello from Turkey. Good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Now, speaking of books and gifts, as we kind of were, tomorrow I will be giving away, there you are, I can show it to you now, Intimate notebook and pen. You'll need to be here for that tomorrow. If you'd like to be in with a chance of winning that, make sure you tune in. That's for tomorrow, but today I bring you The Gift of Words. The second installment of my serial, The Time-Travelling Demolition Man, dropped this morning following yesterday's first edition yesterday. We've got another one today. If you'd like to read it, let me get to the right place and I will fire you over the link just as soon as I can find it. It is that one there. Yes, if you'd like to read that, it is behind a paid firewall. But again, as always, there is a free trial available should you want to have a look at it. And don't worry, if you're part of our WhatsApp group, at some point in the not too distant future, I'll be bagging all 5 episodes up, putting them into a booklet form, and I'll send it to you free of charge because it's the kind of guy I am. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Just before that, I'm going to say good morning to Mark Whiting, Jim Turner, Chris Ford, and Ken Hatcher, have all crept in, and Andy Dovell, who have all crept in while I wasn't paying attention. Now, let me roll that intro and get this show on the road, shall we? Blimey, it's up here somewhere. Here we go. It is Tuesday, the 23rd of January. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, we're going to bring you the most achingly beautiful machine application you're ever likely to see. And I'm going to stand by that. You rarely see anything quite as lovely as this. A small but perfectly formed Husqvarna demolition robot is wheeled out. I dig, you dig, we all dig. And our AI news anchor, Demi Lition, returns with a new electric materials handler from those fine folks at Volvo Plus. How a Cat D11, that's a Cat D11, can make snow clearance fun. And we'll get to all of that in just a second. But first, we're going to take a quick peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this very day in history. On this day in 1368, the Ming dynasty began in China. That dynasty would rule over the country for the next 3 centuries and produce many, many very expensive vases, apparently. In 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman in the US to earn a medical degree. In 1924, Ramsay MacDonald formed Britain's first Labour government. Another one would be quite nice. In 1976, David Bowie released the album Station to Station. It contained classic songs like TVC 15 and Golden Years. Years later, Bowie said he had no recollection of having actually made the album. That's what drugs will do for you, children. Just say no. In 1983, the A-Team premiered on American television. In 1993, England batsman Graham Couch hit his 100th 100. In 2018, singer Neil Diamond announced he was retiring from touring after he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And in the same year, and this is 100% real, I had to check, but this is absolutely real, 12 camels were disqualified from a Saudi Arabian camel beauty contest. Yes, a camel beauty contest when it was discovered that their owners had used Botox on the lips of the animals. I'm going to read that again. 12 camels were disqualified from a Saudi Arabian camel beauty contest when it was discovered that their owners had used Botox on the lips of the animals. Yes. We bring you all the hottest topics here on the Breakfast Show. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me very quickly remind you of our question of the day. Yeah, our question of the day today is this. What is a fact that you subsequently discovered to be a lie? And I know Chris Raw has already answered that with the checks in the post, probably the biggest lie of all time. I don't actually have any of my own, but I can tell you 2 lies told to wives. One was perpetrated by my dad on my mum. The other was started by me, especially for my wife. My dad, many, many years ago, I don't even think they were married at the time, but my dad told my mum that it was impossible to smell roses when the wind was blowing. She believed that for years. For my part, I actually told Ruth that her former boss was a lesbian. Not based on any actual facts, because it turns out she actually wasn't, but she had a gap in her front teeth. I assured Ruth that this was a trait shared by all lesbians, and therefore her boss must be a lesbian. Got away with that for ages. Took her years to discover I'd been making it up. But what about you? What is a fact that you discovered to be a lie, or what is a lie that you perpetrated and that was believed for years? Let us know in the chat, and we'll come back to that right at the end of the show. Speaking of the show, let us begin. I'm going to say a very quick good morning to our friend Mick Norton, who has just said, good morning, Mark. I just read your October 2023 piece on the cruelty of the aging process. Very moving overview as age marches on. I don't want to come across as David Bowie-esque here. I'm going to have to go look that up. I don't even remember writing it. I'm sorry. I have to say, since about October last year, I've been on an absolute roll. It's like I've hit a rich vein of creativity. So I'm writing at such a rate I can't actually remember some of the stuff that I've done. I'm going to go and look. But thank you, Mick. That is very much appreciated. Now, under normal circumstances, we like to bring you films that show new machines. Failing that, we like to show you machines in interesting applications. Well, machine applications don't get much more unusual than the one we're about to show you. So sit back, crank up the volume, and enjoy what is surely the most beautiful machine film you will see this year. Now, you have to bear with me because it's on my hard drive, because it's quite a big file. Bear with me for 2 seconds, and I'll bring it to you just as soon as I can find it. Yep, realise it's remote, realise it's cold, but I'd love to go there. That's the Antarctic, actually, particularly if I could go and watch some scrapers in action. Not everyone a fan of that. And Dan Cullen says, I must admit, this did occur to me. What on snow? Oh my God, they're destroying what ice we have to keep the planet safe. This is unbelievable. It is, and I know somebody else, I think it may be Ken Hatcher, says, what are they doing? The video was actually sent to me. So I don't know for sure, but having seen something like that very similar, my guess is they are actually doing some kind of airfield or landing strip preparation. Chris Hall says, hot but too cold for me. Why can't they leave anything alone? That's a good point, but that's man for you, I guess. I'm not a fan of destruction of the polar regions. Think of the animals that live there and destroy their natural habitat. So all a good point. Let's have a look. This is Andy W. Morning, Andy. Aren't those case quad tracks and boxes for the Australian Antarctic Survey Team? Yes, they could well be. They could well be. I mean, that was certainly the Antarctic. But as I say, because the video was sent to me without context, I don't actually know, to be honest. Is that scraping for the clearance of runways for the British Antarctic Survey Team? I think it's the Australian Antarctic Survey Team, but yes, probably. Let's have a look. Waste money and time. It's great to look at equipment, but not for this. Okay, well, I still think it was lovely to look at. I used to remember seeing the Cat Challenger for the first time. Wow, what a beast. Yeah, I was actually involved in the launch of that, if I remember rightly. That would have been late 80s or early 90s. I can't actually remember which, but yes, I do remember being involved in that. I can't remember if I was in attendance or whether I'd actually written the press release or it was one of those things. It's a long time ago. As I say, I can't even remember an article that I wrote back in October. So what chance have I got for remembering something 35 years ago or thereabouts? Now, while I go and give my head a shake and try and get my head back in the game, let's have a little bit of this, shall we?
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Right, where are we? Yes, if I said to you the term demolition robot, I'm fairly sure most of you would probably think immediately of Brock, and quite possibly of our mate Jeff Pinion, who we haven't had on the show for quite some time, but that's a whole other story. But while Brock may be the market leader, they don't have the sector entirely to themselves, as you're about to see. He is one of their key rivals, rolling out a small but perfectly formed alternative. I wasn't actually asking whether anyone believed them to be hot or not, but I know we've had a couple of votes for it. They're not in the product of the year, because that's just a variation, not a totally new machine. But thank you for that. And if you like remote controlled machines, you might want to stick around until the end of the show, because we've got something else to show you. just going to throw over to the chat once again. Let's see. Andy Darville. Hot. El Scorchio, he says about the Husqvarna. Jim Turner says, handy little tool. Quite agree. Dan Cullen says, but Brock may be lighter, smaller version. That looks nice. Hope to get my Brock ticket this year. Good luck on that. There is certainly room out there for some more people holding Demolition Robot tickets down. So good luck with that. Keep us posted. Now, if you were here yesterday, you may recall that our new look AI news anchor, Ms. Demi Lition, did her first broadcast of the year. Well, she's back by popular demand, and this time her electronic gaze has fallen upon a new electric materials handler from the fine folks at Volvo. Demi, what's the score?
Volvo Construction Equipment is introducing the grid-connected EW240 electric material handler, the latest addition to its range of zero-exhaust emission machines, working towards a carbon-neutral future. With a continuous cable connection, the near-silent EW240 can work round the clock without any need to stop for refueling or recharging, making it the perfect partner for indoor use or in waste and recycling applications. It delivers a significant reduction in noise, vibration, and heat, as well as zero exhaust fumes, creating a more comfortable work environment and opening up new business opportunities. Thanks to electrification, the EW240 electric material handler can go longer between services, which means lower maintenance costs compared to a diesel alternative. With no engine-related consumables such as engine oil, filters and water separator, it also reduces downtime and costs. Volvo's Thomas Nether says, the EW240 electric material handler is the ideal hard-working sustainable solution for waste and recycling, an industry where circularity is in close focus. By providing near-silent and zero-emission electric solutions, we are supporting our customers' need to work more sustainably and deliver on their transformation journey, as well as lower the cost of their operations. The grid-connected wheeled excavator will be available to select customers in Europe from January 2024.
Yeah, many thanks for that, Demi. Hope to see you again soon. Back in the cupboard with you. Just a very quick point on that. Demi and I worked on that video together yesterday because we didn't think there was going to be a Volvo video on that machine. And there is. If you'd like to go over to YouTube, search for Volvo Construction Equipment, and you can see their version, which is a lot longer and has a lot more detail and is also video. It's not just an artificial talking head, although that artificial talking head does appear to be very popular. Certain Mr. Muirhead says, "Oh, Demi, what are you doing to me?" Dan Cullen says, need to watch out. She may take over your position. Hey, she's welcome to it. Chris Ford says, for once, an ideal application for an electric machine. Obviously, largely static. I know Footy said that he was concerned about running over the cable, but if you think about that kind of waste handle or materials handling application, you're largely slewing. And as we saw from, I think it was Chantilly a few weeks ago, there are ways and means of actually keeping the cable up off the ground. I'm just going to have a quick look. Peter McKenna just dropped me a message on WhatsApp, but I don't actually think I've seen him in the chat. But good morning, Peter, if you are watching. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Dan Cullen says, looks an awesome machine, but I'm on the waves on this. There's enough pressure on the electricity. Yeah, again, the perennial discussion about all things electric. About this time of day, I normally throw in a bit of John Travolta. It's electrifying. Yes, John, we all know you believe it to be electrifying. Let's have a bit of this, shall we?
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel. I
feel bad. I do feel bad. We probably managed to film about 20 interviews during our time at the Pre-Internet Press Days in Paris last week, but we couldn't get to see everyone. And there was one that I really regret not seeing in more detail. After the dinner on Thursday night, I had a long chat with a guy from Idig. Didn't get his name, which is very remiss of me. But my apologies. We just had an outage. Whole thing just went off. I can see that we've had some people, Footy saying I've frozen, Dan Cullen saying I've frozen. Idig, yes, they were at Plantworks, if I remember rightly. Chris Ford, my apologies again. Show's gone down. It has, yes. I know Footy is looking at a blank screen. And just as you thought it couldn't get any worse, there is a signal. In actual fact, it's looking weak again as we speak. I get a signal on my an icon of my signal strength, and I was watching it just as I started playing that Idig. It started to go down, and apparently I sound like a Dalek. That's good. I can only apologise. So anyway, I didn't get to say hello or goodbye to the guy from Idig, so my apologies for that. I don't know if anybody got to see it, so I'm going to play it again in the hope that this will shake things loose. So stand by. I didn't even get the name of the guy I spoke to on Thursday night. So, sir, if you're watching, my apologies. Perhaps we can catch up properly in April.
If you would like to buy a limited edition Break Fast show sticker, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news/extras.
So, Storm Aisha has blown over, but there are more winter storms on the way. We're not even in February yet, and that tends to be the coldest month. So, assuming we could see some snow in the weeks ahead, it's important that we're all prepared. And if you want to do your snow clearance in style, then you might like to consider using a Cat D11. Have a look. Is everybody seeing me? I don't know what's going on. Literally halfway through that remote control D11 film, all gone. I tell you what. Always throws me through a bit of a ringer, this does, I have to admit. I don't know whether the chat is going to work today, because we have got a very, very poor signal all of a sudden. But I'm going to wrap up this main part of the morning show. I'm then going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping a gazelle-like over into the chat, although I will be an injured gazelle today, because obviously the internet is conspiring against us. If you can't, please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. But if you do have the time and the inclination, please stick around, and if I can do the chat, I will do the chat immediately after this final word from our key sponsor. What a bloody nightmare, honestly. I tell you what, I'm going to try and get some music going. I don't even know whether it's worth doing, to be honest. Yeah, the signal is still looking as sketchy as all balls. If I do vanish again, guys, I may just pull the plug out because it is looking very sketchy. But I'm going to go back to the beginning of the chat, because I do want to say some good mornings and some thank yous as well. First off the mark this morning. Who was first off the mark this morning? I've even lost part of the chat, because I know Footy was the first off the mark this morning, but the first that I'm seeing is Gary Muirhead. Morning, Gary. Says, good morning, Mark. Good morning, gang. Good morning to you as well. My apologies to Gary and to everybody else for the very poor quality of the show today. Not the quality of the show, but the connection. I'm sure the show was absolutely fantastic. I've been on fine form. Just the internet connection. Who else have we got? We've got Dan Cullen saying good morning. Let's have a look. How the Google are we? Is that a new greeting we've got now? Lovely and damp, but miss the cold. Spoken like a true Irishman, Dan. Thank you very much indeed for that. And again, thank you for the West Ham goodies. I'm going to have a proper sit down and a read. You are going to get in the way of me reading all the Light We Cannot See, which I'm working my way through. Yeah, I've got to say, it's bloody brilliant. It really is. But it is quite a thick book. I think if you're trying to knock over 50 books in a year, choose thin ones. That's where I've gone wrong. I've chosen a couple of right chunky ones, but thoroughly enjoying it. And this well done, Dan, from Gary Muirhead. Guys, please, I don't expect gifts. I really don't. Which is nice when they happen, I have to say. I'm just going to go over to the chat to see Garvin, who's just said, Garvin from Mostly Diggers, what days will you be up into, Matt? Easy answer, all of them. All of the days. In actual fact, we're going over the day before, and we will be there for the duration. So, Garvin, I hope to see you there. And you can secretly film me doing silly things again. And our mate Martin from the Norwegian Earth Rover has just joined us as well. Good morning to him as well. Who else have we got? Yes, I will remind you of this, the Time Travelling Demolition Man. Part two dropped this morning. If you'd like to read that, there's the link. Please feel free. Has the music stopped? The music appears to have stopped. Oh, I'm plagued with problems today, I am. Okay, back to the chat. Yes, part 2 is there. Don't worry if you're part of the WhatsApp group. Don't worry about it too much, because I've actually started piecing together all 5 parts, and at some point over the next week or thereabouts, I will be releasing that to you. Ken Hatcher has got the weather down in Wales. Good morning, Ken. Thank you very much indeed for being here, and apologies once again because the internet has let me down. Dad says you're more than welcome. Hope you like them. Happy you like them. I am delighted. Not, as I say, not had a West Ham annual since I was about 14, 15 years old. So yes, an absolute treat for me. I'm looking forward to sitting down and giving it a good looking over. Ken Hatcher said he had to leave early yesterday. Called back to it. Not a problem at all. No need to apologise. Now, I threw this up, and I don't even know if we've had replies to this. Question of the day is, what is a fact that you discovered to be a lie? Obviously, politicians have your best interest in heart. That would be one. Garvin is going to be intimate over in Gay Parry on the Friday, so look forward to seeing him then. Thank you very much indeed for that. Yes, as I say, I told my wife that her boss was a lesbian because she had a gap in her front teeth. I don't know where that came from, but she believed it, and my mum, for more than 30 years, I would say, believed that you couldn't smell roses all the time the wind was blowing. Have you got any? I'd love to hear from you. And I know Chris Ford has got one. Yes, going to go back to, I don't normally go back this far in the chat, but we were talking about this day in history. I think it was this day, when was it? Was it last year or was it before that? Let me just have a very quick recap. No, it was in 2018. In 2018, 12 camels were disqualified from a Saudi Arabian camel beauty contest when it was discovered that their owners had used Botox on the lips of the animals. Who knew? Be honest. You know, I like to think we're providing a public service here. Who knew there was such a thing as a camel beauty contest? Did you? I didn't. But yes, they were cheating. They were plumping up the lips. And there's a little bit of me that wonders whether they were doing that purely in the interest of the beauty show, or whether they had an ulterior motive. Not sure about that. Lots of comments about the snow being destroyed by those scrapers. I agree. You're right, 100%. But didn't it look like a lovely place? You know when you see, particularly when you're in somewhere like Scotland or somewhere like that, and you see a fresh blanket of snow, and everything just looks pure white and pristine. Imagine that. Imagine being in the Antarctic and it is like that as far as the eye can see. That crystal blue sky and just the pure white of the snow and ice. I realise it's bloody freezing. I realise it's an inhospitable location to be working in. But man alive, I'd love to go there. Chris Ford says, the Antarctic. Hot but too cold for me. I'm kind of inclined to agree, to be honest. We're talking about quad-track tractors. Ken Hatch says they use those things in Florida. I was watching them moving sand. Yes, they do indeed. They are an absolute regular at Con Expo, and it's only when you get up close to one. In actual fact, I think those were K-Tech scrapers that we were showing you there, and they actually had a quad tractor on the K-Tech stand, not the last Con Expo, but the one before. It really is. I mean, we're talking almost like Cat D8, D9 size tractors. Absolute beasts they are. And just to prove my point, Dan Cullen says, I remember being at a show in Ireland in the late 90s. These case quads came out. What a beast of a tractor. They most certainly are. Now, we played you a little clip of Husqvarna. Yes, that Husqvarna do make more than chainsaws. Obviously, they are very famous for their power tools, angle grinders, chainsaws, and all of that kind of thing. But they also do a damn fine demolition robot. They really do. Let's have a look. Yes, there's lots of people saying it is hot, hot, hot. Handy little tool. Yes, it is. Gary Muirhead, he's possibly getting a little too enamoured with our lady Demi Lition. I have to say, I wish her voice was a little bit faster. I have no control over that. I wish her voice was a little bit faster, but quite sexy, isn't it? It's quite a sexy voice. Let's have a look. Who we got here? Need to watch out. She could take over your position. You could train a monkey to do what I do, particularly on a morning like today. You press a button and nothing happens. Any fool could do that. Let's have a look. Who we got here? Mick Norton says, I tell you what, let me switch glasses because these longer ones are quite hard to read. Let's have a look, see what we got. The Craic scrapers came from Canada. The 3-kilometre ice runway, situated 700 metres above sea level, poses unique challenges. You're damn right it does. During winter, the runway shifts from a straight line to a banana-like curve as the glacier moves beneath. Who knew? The barely visible runway is a lifeline for aviation operations in the region, emphasising the significance of the scraper's role in maintaining its operability. Thank you for the depth of that answer, Mick. Much appreciated. And yeah, listen, do I want to see us scraping up bits of the Antarctic? No, of course I don't. But research and bearing in mind all that we know about global warming kind of stems from the Arctic and the Antarctic. We kind of need to be on top of it. So I see both sides. For once, an ideal application for an electric machine, that is the new materials handler from Volvo. If you'd like to know more about that, as I say, go over to YouTube, look for Volvo construction equipment. Last time I looked, it was the latest video that they posted. As I say, bit more depth, bit more action than we had. Had I known they were about to drop that, I wouldn't have bothered dragging Demi out of the cupboard. But there we are. Idig, were they at Plantworks? Yes, I'm fairly sure they were. Don't remember doing a great deal with them. Unfortunately, the shows and the pre-shows like we had last week, always the way. You know, I every time I come back from a Conexpo or a Baum or an Intermat or a Samota or even a Plantworks, I'm kicking myself about the people we didn't get to see for one reason or another. Apparently, I'm good, and I guess that means you sound like a darling, not sound like a darling. I mean, I do sound like a darling, obviously, but Chris Ford is going to extremes here. Have you got the tabs for that slide guitar? Not that I could play it. No, funnily enough, I don't. we like to provide everything we possibly can, but I really don't have the guitar tabs for that. Chris Ford has also said, try and choose me. Never mind, it will soon be. F you, it's Friday. Yeah, and I am back. I just don't. It's just one of those things. God loves a try, but man hates the internet. Ain't that the truth? It's a good discussion point, this one, from Dan Cullen. Says, I've got one problem with all this technology. The guy said to me, people are losing the will to use their heads and let the computer take over. I kind of see that from both sides. I am of an age where I was taught to remember dates, relating to, the Battle of Hastings and the beginning of the First World War and the end of the Second World War. All these significant dates down the line. Who needs that now when you've got one of those at your disposal? Why would you need to remember that? So on the one side, I see the advent of technology to be a good thing. But, and I'm just going to say very quick good morning to Joe Brown Construction Company over in Philadelphia. Good morning to you, all the way from just outside London. I could tell you where it is. It would mean nothing. We're just outside London, but good morning to Philadelphia. Do me a favour, later today, have a cheesesteak on me, would you? And then write to me and describe it to me, because it's a long while since I had one. Yeah. So on the one side, I see the technology argument in that it does stop people using their brains. But in another, I think our brains could be put to a better purpose. So should I be remembering dates of famous battles, or when people ascended to the throne, or should I be thinking about something far more interesting than that? That's my take on it. Let's have a look. Joe Brown Construction back over on Instagram. In Philadelphia, demo work on the 95 Expressway. Wish I was there to see it. Would love to be back in the States. I will be back in the States, all things being equal, in September of this year. But that's not going to be Philadelphia. That's going to be Las Vegas yet again. We're being watched by somebody called the Moustached Marauder over on Instagram as well. Okay, fair enough. Let's have a look. Sorry, Dan, humbug on football. Well, Dan, there's no humbug on... Joe Brown Construction is sending me a video of their work over in Philadelphia. Please do that. And if you could make sure that it's that shape, please do that. We'd love to feature it on the show. Never mind humbug about football. I'm a lover of football. I went to bed on Wednesday night over in Paris. Couldn't get to sleep, so I put the TV on. And I was watching the Africa Cup of Nations, which is going on right now. There were two teams playing, obviously both of them from Africa. I had no idea who the hell I was watching, and yet I watched all 90 minutes. That's how bad. Yes, I was double screen for reasons best known to itself. I'm actually running two screens. I've got the screen with the camera and I've got the other one over here. When I came back, it tried to put both of them online. I don't know. Let's have a look. Mick Norton says, as a dad, my kid always answered my "Where are you going, Dad?" with Russia for 5 eggs. It was ages before I realised the truth. Russia for 5 eggs. Never heard that one before. Dan Cullen, with an update on the employment situation here in the UK, says, unbelievable how many people are looking for work, get on my groups, difficult to get on top of, so I might need an assistant. Demi is available at a relatively small cost. I've had 7 calls this week on guys asking best advice as they want to jump straight onto a crane machine and never been on one, but they've got the red card. As I said, they're only doing cards for the rates. Yes, very true indeed. Very true indeed. I know my LinkedIn has been absolutely full of messages from people looking for work. If there was something I could do to help, I certainly would. I do point most of them towards Dan, I have to say, because his WhatsApp groups are thriving at the moment. In the nicest possible way, Dan. I wish they weren't. I wish your groups were as quiet as everything, but because that would mean everyone was fully employed and doing okay for themselves. But that's not the case, I'm afraid. So what are you going to do? There's a bit of me that kind of regrets folding our old Demolition Jobs website. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but Demolition Jobs was actually started as a reverse recruitment site. We built a website, and in absolute fairness to them, the NFDC actually contributed some money towards it. This is back 2007, 2008, when we knew the recession was going to hit. And yeah, we built a reverse recruitment site in that you could advertise your availability to work. It wasn't a site for companies to advertise vacancies. It was a site for men to advertise their availability to work completely free of charge. And for a couple of years, it went very, very well. Then the recession was over, and we actually started to get approached for turning it the other way around, so we could actually feature job vacancies, which we did for a little while, but it was basically a full-time job. And I've got one of those. So yeah, we pulled a plug. There is actually a Demolition Jobs website out there that does a very, very good job. I point some people that way as well. But if you are looking for work, please have a look at Dan over on WhatsApp, or find him via YouTube if necessary. Go and give him a call. Demolition Jobs, you can find them on the interwebs as well. Yeah, it's a good point. Going back to the technology thing, like SatNav, majority of people now rely on it and have no sense of direction. Yeah, you always get these horror stories of people that have driven off bridges or into rivers because they were following the instructions of the SatNav and not actually paying attention. it's a fair point, but I do wonder. I've spent quite a lot of time over the past couple of weeks. It's all part of my switch to analog. As you know, I'm running notebooks, literally paper notebooks, which you can probably see just behind me there. Actual paper notebooks and pens and stuff like that. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is to get unnecessary stuff out of my head so that I can concentrate on other things. Now, in terms of sat-nav, the thing that you want in your head is what you're actually doing. You want to be paying attention on the road and the traffic users around you and pedestrians. So you want to be totally focused on that. But when it comes into the office, I don't want to be in the process of trying to remember every little fact and figure and stuff like that. Even to the point where I've started to use Apple reminders. I'm on a pair of Macs here actually, but I'm on a Mac computer. There's an Apple reminders, and there's about off the top of my head 15-20 steps to get this show up and out. It's things like, you know, making sure the light's working, making sure the mic's working, getting the script in the right order, getting the videos in the right order, embedding the video over on Demolition News. And every day I was having to think, right, have I done that? Have I done that? Have I done the question of the day? Have I done the question of the day in video form and in text form? Now I've got a list. So every morning I turn on the computer, there it is, there's my list, tick off, tick off, tick off, and I should be ready to go. What it doesn't allow for, obviously, is the internet going out. But I'm trying to get, there is a term that people are using online about the idea of building a second brain. I hardly use the first one, to be perfectly honest, so I don't really need to go that far. But trying to get as much out of my head as I possibly can so that I can concentrate on the things that I need to do. I mean, at any given time, I make things worse for myself. I'm currently reading 3 books side by side, which doesn't really help matters. I'm doing an audio book, a fiction book, and a non-fiction book, all side by side, trying to get this 50 books in a year done. So that's part of it. But I do the same thing when I'm writing articles. You know, I'm writing an article about the credibility of influencers online. I'm writing another one about how training in the industry doesn't necessarily respond to accidents and fatalities, and there's another one that I've got that I'm working through as well. I can't keep all of that in my head, so you know the plan basically is to try and get some of that down on paper. I'm going to say good morning to station cars of Epsom who have just joined. I don't know why they're tuning into this show, aside from the fact that they're in Epsom and I'm in Epsom. But good morning, fellas and ladies. Thanks for being here. Don't know what you're getting out of a show like this, but thank you very much indeed for being here. I have actually used your services from time to time, just to let you know. Accident statistics and machine operator incompetence would seem to confirm that we will rue the day when we became so dependent on technology. Yeah, but I also think, and again, this goes back to the article that I've got planning in my head, that there is... Let me try and explain this in terms that I understand, in the hopes that this will help you understand. There has always been a temptation with when I sit down to write an article. I'm generally writing it with me in mind first. I have something I want to get off my chest, be it personal or business related, and I want to get it off my chest, and I put it out into the world and hope that people like it, agree with it, or disagree with it, and have a good reason not to. And so that's the idea. But there is this notion now, and social media has helped me with this, I have to say. There is this idea of a feedback loop. And this show is very much a part of my feedback loop. I can come up with an idea, chat about it with you guys, and if there is some sort of traction on it, you know, there's an interest in it, or if you start to give me feedback that I hadn't thought of, because frankly you're living and breathing it, you know, all of that then feeds into the article. So when I sit down to finally write the article, not only have I got the idea in my head, but I've got your feedback as well. So these things tend to go round and round in circles. It's the feedback loop. Where I have an issue, and this is one of the reasons I'm writing the article, and going back to the point from Mick there, if you train people, you know, if you're a demolition or construction company, or if you're a training organisation, You train people, and at the end of the day, you can put a tick in the box to say that person, Joe Bloggs has been trained, and he will receive his card. I'm putting a big tick in his box, and we believe him to now be sufficiently competent to go to work and to do his thing. Hopefully, at some point in a few years' time, Joe Bloggs will come back around and either take an advanced version of whatever competence training he's done, or potentially he's coming back to refresh. But you get that going round and round. Where I have a concern is if somebody is injured, killed, or if they leave the industry entirely, we have no way of knowing what their training actually delivered. Did it give them a lifelong career? Did it make them safer on site, or did it not? And if somebody is killed in the line of work, I personally would like to think that the details of that accident could be fed back into the industry and into the training to make sure that that was avoided. The International Powered Access Federation do precisely that. They have a global database of accidents and fatalities, and that informs their training. We in demolition and construction do not have that. We should. I'm going to say good morning to Kings on Crusher over on Instagram. I can't wait for Six Nations. Love me rugby. I was invited to that probably 4 or 5 years ago. Didn't go because I didn't know the rules. Sorry. Dan Cullen says I've got a demo-only group too with Kelper and a few others on. We still have to dig tracks out machines and group machines up. Technology can't do that. Why can't it? You'd think by now we'd have sorted that out, wouldn't you? Like last week in Edinburgh, a few people drove their cars onto a stairwell as a diversion, but sat-nav sent them onto the stairs. And rather than looking out the window and thinking, staircase, they carried on. Yes, the gene pool does have a shallow end, it would appear. People, that's going to do us. We're almost at the, we're at 59 minutes, which means that in Instagram version of this show is going to kick out very soon. I suggest we do the same. I'm going to be back tomorrow. As I say, you will be able to win those Intermat pen and notepad as well. It's very nice. I've got to say, they are very big on the sustainability thing. All recycled paper. I could write me a novel on there. So if you'd like to win that tomorrow, please be here, 10 o'clock. Be there or be square. Until then, everybody, I tell you what, I'm going to have one last thing. If Instagram cuts out, my apologies. Mick Nutt says there's a worrying trend on the introduction of swathes of so-called technological advances that might be used against man, woman in the seat in a court of law. Example, artificial intelligence cameras. Once again, we find that I've said the same about the training organisations, but I will say exactly the same about the law. The law does not move at the same pace as innovation and technology needs to. Everybody, go and have a fantastic day. I know it's wet, I know it's a bit windy out there, but stay safe, look after yourselves. I'll be back here tomorrow, and if you would like to win that notebook and pen, make sure you're here, 10 o'clock sharp. I'll be giving away to somebody. Until then, everybody, go have a fantastic day. My apologies once again for the quality of the internet connection. And for the final time, Dan Cullen. Many thanks. Many thanks. I'm going to fly my West Ham flag nice and high. Everybody, great. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.